I guess when the Prime Minister starts calling digital sovereignty a national priority, he's really just building a firewall to protect his own narrative from the one guy across the border who's loud enough to break it. Hey Canada, it's Earl. We're going to discuss the effects of the Trump effect on our charter. Donald Trump is inadvertently doing more to protect your freedom of speech and your security than the people sitting in Parliament. I am going to lay this out in plain English so we can show the world exactly how the America First agenda is becoming the Charter's last stand. We need to talk about why Prime Minister Mark Carney is digging his heels in on the Online Harms Act and why he's cozying up to Chinese partners, even as the walls start to close in from the south. Yesterday, Mark Carney told a room full of bankers that Canada will not be bullied into dropping the Online Harms Act. He calls it protecting our children. But let's be real, the only thing he's protecting is the closed loop. See, Carney is refusing to budge because his entire economic plan, the sovereign cloud, the digital identity, and the green energy corridor requires a controlled population. He can't have you misinterpreting his data or organizing protests that freeze his infrastructure. In banker speak, he can't manage the economy if people are allowed to post misinformation that challenges his plans. For Carney, Bill C-63 isn't a safety bill, it's a security system for his own power. He's looking to Chinese investment to fund the hardware for this digital fortress because he knows the Americans will put strings on the money. This is where it gets interesting. Donald Trump has made it clear. He views Bill C-63 as an illegal trade barrier and a shakedown of American companies. He isn't a human rights activist, but his transactional nature is working in our favor. When Trump threatens retaliatory tariffs of up to 25% on Canadian goods because of this act, he's doing it to protect American tech giants like X, Meta, and Truth Social from Canadian fines. But for you, the Canadian citizen, that pressure is the only thing stopping the government from turning on those pre-crime peace bonds. He is fighting for his company's profits, but in doing so, he is accidentally defending your Section 2B right to free speech. Every day he delays C-63 is another day you don't have a digital safety commission policing your posts. The same thing is happening with our security. In January, Carney signed a China-Canada trade roadmap to bring in 49,000 Chinese EVs under reduced tariffs. Trump sees this as a backdoor for Chinese spy tech to sit on the US border. Trump is now demanding an entry fee for trade, telling Carney, kick out the Chinese partners or lose your USMCA deal. Trump wants to protect the Michigan auto industry from cheap, subsidized cars. But for us, that means the surveillance tech and data tracking software embedded in those Chinese-made vehicles stays out of our driveways. He's protecting American jobs, but he's inadvertently protecting your Section 7 right to security and privacy from foreign state actors. Finally, by demanding reciprocal freedom in media, Trump is ensuring that American news outlets aren't throttled by Canadian algorithms. He wants his allies to have access to Canadian ears. For you, this means the CBC monopoly gets cracked wide open. Trump is fighting for his narrative to reach the north, and as a result, you get access to information that hasn't been scrubbed by an Ottawa-approved fact-checker. When you follow the money and the threats, it breaks down like this. Trump threatens tariffs on C-63 to protect U.S. platforms, but it prevents pre-crime surveillance for Canadians. Trump bans Chinese EV parts to protect U.S. factories, but it stops Chinese surveillance tech from being in your driveway. Donald Trump is looking out for number one. But in a world where our own Prime Minister is treating the Charter like a suggestion and the Chinese Communist Party like a business partner, having a neighbor who demands freedom of trade and security is the best shield we've got. Carney wants a sovereign box with him holding the key. Trump just wants to make sure the box stays open for business. And as long as it's open for business, it stays open for the truth. They're calling it annexation or a trade war, but for the guy who just wants to post his opinion without a government fine, it's starting to look like a rescue. Thanks for watching. Stay awake.